There are three kinds of people who are not just dangerous but fatal to the unprepared. They are not merely obstacles, not inconveniences, not passing threats. They are traps in human form, and if you fail to recognize them, you will not simply lose money or time, you will lose your freedom, your strength, perhaps even the very sense of who you are. Most people will encounter them. Most people will smile in their faces, invite them to dinner, even trust them with secrets and opportunities. And by the time they realize the mistake, the damage is already permanent. You will meet them, you may already know them, and if you cannot see through their disguise, you will be consumed. The first of these is the manipulator. He does not come with a weapon in his hand. He does not enter with rage or threat. He enters with warmth, with interest, with charm. You will never see his fangs because he never shows them. He makes you open your hand willingly and place your fortune, your time, your loyalty into his grip. The manipulator is invisible at first glance because he hides in the most dangerous place of all, in what you want to believe about him. He is not a thief in the night, but a companion in the day. He will smile when you speak and nod at the right moment. He will seem to understand you in a way that no one else does. He will mirror your emotions, reflect your values, and project the illusion of safety. And because people crave being understood more than anything else, you will not notice that his reflection is hollow. He does not need to push against you. He does not need to argue or fight. His mastery lies in persuasion, in subtlety, in making you think that the decision you make is your own, when in reality, it was planted in your mind long before. Force is crude, persuasion is elegant, and the manipulator prefers elegance. Think about the business partner who seems trustworthy, who talks endlessly about shared goals, who celebrates your small victories with enthusiasm. He will shake your hand firmly. He will look you in the eye, and while you are convinced of the bond between you, he quietly drains accounts, reroutes opportunities, and makes sure that when the house falls, you are the one holding the rubble. Think about the lover who flatters you with constant devotion, who whispers about future plans, who convinces you that you are the center of their world. And yet, while you are blinded by the attention, they are weaving a second life behind the curtain, ensuring that when they leave, they walk away with your time, your trust, and often your wealth. Think about the so-called friend who is always there with advice, who couches every word in concern, who insists that they only want what is best for you. But if you look closer, you'll see the advice leads you where they benefit, and the concern is a mask for control, poison disguised as care, subtle influence that feels like protection but ends in chains. The manipulator thrives because most men believe that danger must be loud. They expect the attack to be open, the betrayal to be obvious, the predator to bare its teeth before striking. But the manipulator never bares anything. He smiles, he flatters, he agrees. He places himself in your blind spot and convinces you it is light. And because his approach requires no force, there is no resistance. You hand him your trust because it feels natural. You give him your loyalty because it feels earned. You hand him your wealth, your secrets, your vulnerabilities because it feels like the right choice. This is what makes him lethal. He does not take, he makes you give, and you do not even realize it until the moment you are emptied. The Machiavellian truth is brutal but clear. The manipulator is the most civilized thief you will ever meet. He will never rob you at sword point, never drag you into conflict, never raise his voice. He doesn't have to. He allows you to lower your own defenses, to open your own gates, to invite him inside. The door is unlocked because you unlocked it for him. The most dangerous man is not the one who threatens you. It is the one who convinces you that he is harmless. And because of this, because he wears no weapon on his belt and speaks no threat aloud, most people never notice until they are already trapped. Now I want you to stop and think. Who in your life always agrees a little too easily? Who flatters you just enough to disarm suspicion? Who seems to know exactly how to say the right thing at the right time? These are not harmless quirks. These are signals. You might already know a manipulator. You might already be under his influence. And the most terrifying truth is that you would never know until the price has already been paid. Look around you, your colleagues, your friends, even those closest to you. Ask yourself if their care always benefits you, or if quietly it benefits them more. Ask yourself whether you've ever walked down a path that felt like your choice, but somehow led to their advantage every time. If you see it once, you must see it twice, and if you see it twice, it is not an accident. This is why the manipulator is the first type of dangerous man you must learn to see, because he hides in plain sight. because he wears your trust as his disguise, because he uses your own desires as his weapon. The manipulator's art is subtle, but its consequences are devastating, and unless you learn to strip away the mask, you will never know when he is guiding your hand to sign away your freedom, to surrender your position, to hand over your very future with a smile. In the next part, I will strip that mask away. I will show you the precise signs that betray him, the tells he cannot hide, the subtle cracks in his performance that reveal who he truly is. You must know these signs before he destroys you. You already know that the manipulator never storms the gates, never rattles the chains, never forces his way into your trust. He waits until you open the door and invite him inside. That is why most men are destroyed by him long before they realize there was even a threat. But here is the problem. Once you understand that such a creature exists, you will want to believe that spotting him will be easy. It will not. He thrives because he knows your hunger better than you do. He knows you crave validation, approval, the feeling of being special, of being seen, and so he becomes a mirror. He reflects back the face you want to see. You mistake that reflection for authenticity. You call it connection. In truth, it is the snare tightening around your neck. What you must learn now are the cracks in his disguise, the signals too small to notice unless you are trained to see them. That is the only way to strip him of his invisibility. The first sign is excess. The manipulator always gives too much, too soon, too much charm, too much attention, too many promises. He showers you with trust before it is earned. He offers access before you deserve it. He accelerates intimacy, whether in business, friendship, or romance, at a pace that feels flattering but should feel suspicious. Why? Because genuine trust grows slowly. Real bonds take time. But the manipulator needs you in his orbit before your suspicion can wake. So he overwhelms you with generosity, with warmth, with shared secrets that may not even be real. If you feel rushed into trusting someone, if the pace feels unnatural but you convince yourself it is destiny, beware. That is not fate, that is strategy. The second sign is inconsistency hidden in flattery. He will always tell you what you want to hear, but if you pay attention, the words will shift to fit the moment. He mirrors you so precisely that you might believe you found someone who thinks as you do, dreams as you do, believes as you do. But mirrors are not minds. If you test him, if you press on his convictions, you will notice that his positions bend to yours. He agrees with what you agreed with yesterday, and tomorrow he will agree with what you will agree with then. He has no anchor because he does not need one. You are his anchor. His only principle is keeping you convinced. And if you believe that constant agreement is proof of loyalty, you have already fallen into his hands. The third sign is subtle sabotage disguised as wisdom. He will advise you often, and that advice will feel helpful, even protective. But observe carefully. His guidance nudges you away from independence, away from clarity, away from your own judgment. He convinces you to doubt your instincts, to lean on his perspective, to allow him to help because he is more experienced, more rational, more objective. Over time, you stop making decisions without checking them against his opinion. You believe you are being guided. In reality, you are being directed. And because he cloaks this in the language of care, you will not notice that the only consistent winner from his advice is him. The fourth sign is absence when strength is needed. The manipulator thrives in moments where flattery is enough, but he disappears when true support is required. He is there for your victories but quiet for your defeats. He arrives when you are rising but is absent when you are sinking. And if he does show himself in your weakness, it is often to remind you how valuable he is, how lucky you are to have him, how much worse it would be if he weren't around. True allies lift weight with you. Manipulators remind you of the weight while they keep their hands clean. Now pause and consider. Who in your life moves too quickly into closeness? Who always agrees, always flatters, but bends too easily when pressed? Who offers advice that benefits them more than it benefits you? Who is absent when you are weak, but returns when you have something to give? These are not harmless patterns. These are warnings. And if you recognize one of them, you must ask yourself a darker question. Is this person already inside your defenses? Have you already given them access to your secrets, your resources, your heart? Because the manipulator does not steal in a single moment. He bleeds you slowly, invisibly, until the day comes when you realize that the rope around your throat has been tightening for months, years, perhaps decades. The Machiavellian truth is merciless. Most victims of manipulators do not lose a fortune in a single strike. They lose it coin by coin. They do not lose their confidence in one betrayal. They lose it argument by argument, over time, until they no longer remember how to think without him. This is why manipulators are so dangerous, because you are never aware of the loss until you are already hollow. And once hollow, you will no longer resist. This is the fate of those who fail to recognize the signs. And yet, once you know them, once you see through the charm, the mask cannot hold. The manipulator has no core, only reflection. Once you stop reflecting back the light he projects, he disappears. But you must ask yourself something harder. Why did you let him in? Why did you crave his flattery? Why did you welcome his pace? Why did you listen to his counsel? Because the manipulator does not invent your weakness. He reveals it. And if you cannot answer these questions honestly, you will not only fall for him once, you will fall for him again and again. Until you learn the truth of yourself, the manipulator will always find a door. And this is the most brutal lesson. Sometimes the real enemy is not him, but the hunger in you that gave him the key. The manipulator disarms you with charm, but the betrayer is deadlier still, because he does not need to persuade you to open the gate. He is already inside the walls. This is the second kind of dangerous man, the one who waits not at the door, not at the window, but at your table. He eats your bread, he drinks your wine, he listens to your secrets, and all the while he sharpens the blade he will drive into your back. You cannot defend against him by suspicion alone, because suspicion will betray you if it touches everyone. No, the betrayer thrives because he blends so perfectly with trust that by the time his strike comes, you are not only vulnerable, you are completely exposed. This is why betrayal destroys more than fortunes. It destroys the spirit. It convinces you that no trust can be real, that no bond is sacred, that no loyalty lasts. The manipulator takes your money, the betrayer takes your faith in mankind. You must understand why the betrayer is inevitable. He is not the stranger at the gates, not the rival across the battlefield. He is the brother in arms, the confidant, the ally who has been granted proximity. Danger increases with closeness, and no one is closer than the one you trust most. Ask yourself who truly has the power to hurt you. It is not your enemies, for you expect their hostility. It is not strangers, for you expect nothing of them. The ones who can ruin you are the ones you've let in, the ones whose betrayal will shake you because you never prepared for it. And this is why betrayal always feels larger than life. It is not only a crime against you, it is a crime against the very belief that loyalty exists. Consider the friend who knows your weaknesses because you revealed them in confidence, who nods as you speak your darkest fears, who promises to guard your secrets as if they were his own. But when the moment arrives, when speaking them aloud earns him advantage, he will reveal them, and your soul will feel exposed to the world. Consider the business partner who has access to the accounts, who has sat in every meeting, who has smiled through every plan. He will wait until the time is right, until your defenses are down, and then redirect every asset while your eyes are still blind with trust. Consider the lover who whispers of permanence, who has lived inside your very skin, who has heard you in moments of desperation and ecstasy alike. When betrayal comes from them, it is not only loss, it is desecration. The Machiavellian truth is this: betrayal never comes from weakness. It comes from calculation. The betrayer is patient. He does not act at the first opportunity. He waits for the right moment, the perfect angle, the strike that guarantees not just gain but destruction. Because the betrayer does not want to merely win, he wants you to lose. And the greater your trust, the greater his triumph when it collapses. This is why betrayal cuts deeper than any theft or deception. It is not about what is taken. It is about the collapse of something you thought untouchable. Most men are destroyed not by betrayal itself, but by their blindness to its possibility. They tell themselves, he would never. They repeat it with certainty, she would never. But history, literature, and life itself all whisper the same answer: they will, and they do. Brutus was not a stranger to Caesar. Judas was not unknown to Christ. Every great downfall has been accelerated not by open war, but by the knife of the one closest at hand. You are not an exception. Do not tell yourself that loyalty is universal. Loyalty is temporary. It lasts until the betrayer sees more value in treason than in devotion. And yet, even as I speak these words, you resist them. You want to believe in the permanence of trust. You want to believe that some people, at least, are incapable of betrayal. That is your weakness, and it is why the betrayer will always exist. He lives in the space between your faith and reality. He feeds on the difference between what you hope for and what men truly are. He thrives because you cannot bring yourself to imagine his strike, and when it comes, your shock doubles its force. Think now of the people closest to you, not strangers, not rivals, but those who sit beside you, those who know your heart, those you could not imagine turning against you. Hold their faces in your mind. Ask yourself, who has access to what would break you? Who knows where you are weakest? Who could devastate you with a single word, a single action, a single revelation? If you can name them, you must understand, those are the only people who can betray you, and one of them eventually will. The betrayer does not appear suddenly. His treason is not lightning, it is erosion. He begins long before the knife touches your back, long before the account is emptied, long before the secret is exposed. His betrayal is prepared, rehearsed, cultivated in silence. What destroys most men is not that they were betrayed, but that the signs were there all along, and they chose not to see them. If you wish to survive, you must learn to see the signs. They are subtle, but they exist. They always exist. The betrayer is never flawless, because deception always leaves a residue. His smile is just a little too measured, his interest just a little too convenient, his loyalty just a little too loud. Watch closely, and you will see the fracture lines before the collapse. The first sign is secrecy disguised as privacy. Every man keeps something to himself, but the betrayer guards more than he should. He withholds not because he is reserved, but because he is planning. He speaks freely of small things but grows silent when the subject turns to future plans, commitments, or accountability. When you ask a direct question, his answers are vague, evasive, or delayed. He hides behind phrases like "trust me" or "I've got it handled," when in reality, he does not want you looking too closely. Privacy protects, secrecy conceals. Learn to tell the difference, because in secrecy, betrayal ferments. The second sign is subtle distancing. The betrayer begins to pull away, not with open conflict, but with small withdrawals of presence. He misses meetings, cancels appointments, avoids conversations, all while insisting that nothing is wrong. He is present when it benefits him, absent when it demands effort. He will still smile, still flatter, but there is a hollowness beneath it. He is already detaching himself from your fate, already shifting his allegiance elsewhere. And because you are blinded by familiarity, you will tell yourself that he is just distracted, just busy, just tired. But distraction does not feel like withdrawal, only betrayal does. The third sign is the testing of boundaries. The betrayer pushes against the edges of loyalty to see how much you will tolerate. He breaks small promises to prepare for breaking larger ones. He leaks small details to test whether you notice. He undermines you in subtle ways, then laughs it off as a joke. These are rehearsals. He is conditioning you to expect less, to excuse more, to adjust to disloyalty until you no longer recognize it as abnormal. By the time the final act comes, you will have grown so accustomed to these fractures that the collapse will feel almost natural. The fourth sign is envy disguised as admiration. The betrayer often begins as your ally, even your supporter, but admiration rots into resentment. He claps when you succeed, but his eyes linger too long on your victory. He congratulates you with words, but bitterness flickers across his expression. He may praise you publicly while mocking you in private. Pay attention to how people react when you rise. The betrayer cannot hide his envy forever. It will appear in glances, in jokes, in subtle dismissals. And once envy takes root, betrayal becomes only a matter of time. The fifth sign is the sudden shift in allegiance. One day, you notice he praises someone else more than he praises you. He spends more time with others than with you. His language begins to mirror theirs. His loyalty leans in their direction. His jokes are at your expense rather than theirs. This is the shadow of betrayal, the rehearsal of treason. He has already chosen a new master, a new partner, a new loyalty. You are no longer the center of his allegiance. You are now the obstacle to it. Think carefully now. Who in your life grows more secretive as you grow more transparent? Who withdraws while insisting nothing is wrong? Who breaks small promises and laughs at your discomfort? Who admires you with words but envies you with eyes? Who has shifted their allegiance, little by little, toward others who compete with you? Do not dismiss these signs as paranoia. Do not excuse them as stress or coincidence. These are the cracks before the collapse. These are the footsteps of betrayal approaching, and if you ignore them, you will walk willingly into the knife. The Machiavellian truth is this: betrayal is never sudden. It is a sequence, a pattern, a slow unraveling of loyalty until only treason remains. The only defense is vigilance, not blind suspicion of everyone, but cold clarity in observing those closest to you. To see the betrayals before they happen is not cynicism, it is survival, because the only thing worse than being betrayed is being surprised by it. And the man who prepares himself can never be truly surprised. The predator is different from all who came before him. The manipulator takes by charm, the betrayer by treason, but the predator takes by fear. He does not wait for permission, he does not require your trust, and he does not waste time weaving illusions. He arrives with power already in his hand, and his strength is that he does not care what mask he wears. His presence is the weapon, his very existence is an announcement of threat, and unlike the others, he thrives not in secrecy but in spectacle. He wants you to feel his approach, to sense the inevitability of his strike, because your fear is the soil from which his dominance grows. To understand the predator, you must accept this truth: he does not negotiate, he does not persuade, he does not beg, he consumes. The predator is fearless because he has stripped himself of the illusions that hold most men back: conscience, pity, hesitation. These are weights he has discarded. While others pause to calculate or restrain themselves with morality, the predator moves with relentless certainty. He does not hesitate, and that alone makes him terrifying. Most men falter before they act, second-guess themselves, soften their blows with doubt. The predator has no such weakness. He does what others only imagine. He says what others only think. He takes what others only covet. And because of this, he appears larger than life, unstoppable, godlike in his lack of restraint. You have seen him before. The corporate leader who thrives on intimidation, who silences rooms not with persuasion but with raw dominance. The warlord who rules not because his people love him, but because they fear his wrath. The street tyrant who commands loyalty not with trust, but with the certainty of violence if disobeyed. These are predators. They are not subtle, they do not ask, they impose. Their advantage is not deception but the terror they inspire, because fear is faster than reason, and men paralyzed by fear will hand over everything without a fight. But here is the darker truth. The predator does not even need to act to win. His greatest victories are secured before the first strike. When people fear him, they restrict themselves, silence themselves, surrender possibilities that could challenge him. His reputation does half his work. His shadow arrives before his body, and men flee before the blade is even drawn. This is why predators are so destructive, not because they fight constantly, but because they rarely have to. Their aura of inevitability defeats more men than their actions ever could. What makes the predator so dangerous is not only what he does, but what he makes you do to yourself. In his presence, you hesitate, you censor your thoughts, you bend your posture, you hand him victories without resistance. Fear is the chain, and once he locks it around your throat, you begin to police yourself on his behalf. He does not need to monitor you. You monitor yourself. You make yourself smaller, weaker, quieter. You sacrifice your potential at the altar of his dominance. This is why predators rise so quickly and reign so long, because their victims become their enforcers. And yet, you must remember this: the predator's strength is also his weakness. He thrives only as long as fear is alive in the hearts of others. The moment fear breaks, the moment someone sees him not as inevitable but as mortal, his power crumbles. Every predator has a beginning and an end. His reign is measured not by his will but by the number of men who remain afraid. But until that moment comes, until his aura is shattered, he is a storm that cannot be reasoned with. He will not wait for betrayal. He will not flatter like the manipulator. He will strike, and he will keep striking until nothing is left. Think now. Who in your life thrives on your hesitation? Who grows stronger when you shrink? Who commands with presence alone, without needing to explain, without needing to justify? Who makes you edit yourself in their shadow? Who forces you to act smaller than you are? These are not leaders. They are predators. And the longer you allow their fear to take root in you, the more you become their prey. Do not tell yourself that predators only exist in books or distant lands. They exist in boardrooms, in families, in friendships, in the very circles you call safe. They do not hide, because they do not need to. They walk openly, confident that your fear will protect them. The predator hunts in cycles. His method is not random chaos, but a deliberate pattern of domination. First comes the intimidation. He enters a room and seizes it without words. His posture, his gaze, the silence that follows his presence all announce that he is not to be challenged. Then comes the conditioning. He ensures that people around him adjust their behavior, soften their voices, surrender their positions without being asked. Over time, he builds an environment where fear maintains itself. People anticipate his anger, his hunger, his violence, and they police themselves before he has to. By the time he acts, resistance is already broken. The true genius of the predator is not in what he does, but in what he makes you do to yourself. The predator enforces his reign through selective cruelty. He does not need to punish everyone. He only needs to destroy one in front of everyone else. A public humiliation, a ruthless dismissal, an example made of one unfortunate victim. That single act radiates outward, infecting the rest with dread. Everyone watching thinks, if that could happen to him, it could happen to me. And so the predator multiplies his power without effort. Fear does not need to be universal. It only needs to be visible. Like a fire, it spreads on its own. He simply sets the first spark. But fear is never stable. It must be fed. The predator maintains dominance by stoking the fire again and again, ensuring that the memory of his power never fades. Sometimes it is a violent outburst. Sometimes it is a calculated show of authority. Sometimes it is nothing but a silence that forces everyone to imagine what he might do. The predator understands that imagination is stronger than fact. Men fear what they cannot predict, what they cannot measure, what they cannot control. By keeping others uncertain, by never showing the full extent of his methods, he ensures they always imagine worse than what is real. That imagination enslaves them more tightly than chains. Yet here lies the secret that the predator never wants you to realize. His power only exists as long as you believe in it. The moment you stop fearing him, his aura collapses. He has no persuasion like the manipulator, no closeness like the betrayer. He has only the shadow of fear. If you pierce it, you expose him as mortal, limited, vulnerable. But most men never reach this moment because they are broken long before. They surrender their strength, their courage, their resistance, because they cannot endure the suffocating weight of his presence. They convince themselves he is invincible, and by that belief, he becomes invincible. The predator does not win because he is beyond defeat. He wins because you accept defeat before the fight begins. Think again of your own life. Who is it that you obey without questioning, not because of respect but because of fear? Who silences you before you even speak? Who makes you smaller, weaker, less alive simply by standing near you? Do you not see that this is how predators thrive, by convincing you that their power is absolute, when in truth it rests entirely on your compliance? Do you not see that fear is the chain, and your belief is the lock that holds it shut? The predator cannot enslave a man who has stripped fear from his heart. But to reach this point, you must endure the storm of his presence. You must refuse to shrink. You must be willing to confront the illusion he projects. The Machiavellian truth is that predators rule only until the day courage rises. Every tyrant in history has seemed unstoppable, eternal, absolute, until the moment he fell. And when he fell quickly, because his power was never as strong as it appeared. It was held together by fear, and when fear breaks, his reign evaporates like smoke in wind. The predator knows this, which is why he works tirelessly to keep you trembling, to keep you guessing, to keep you doubting yourself. But once you see him clearly, once you stand without fear, he has nothing left to use against you. You now know the three most dangerous kinds of people you will ever meet: the manipulator, who deceives you into surrendering; the betrayer, who strikes from within; and the predator, who conquers by fear. You will meet them all. You may already know them, and if you do not learn to recognize them, they will consume you. But if you do learn, if you can see through charm, pierce through loyalty, and break through fear, then no man alive can truly enslave you. And in the next moment of your life, when you stand before such a figure, you will not tremble, you will not yield. You will remember this: the only true power a predator has is the fear you give him. Refuse to give it, and you have already won. If you've made it this far, it's because a part of you already senses this truth. The most dangerous people are not strangers in the dark. They are the ones closest, the ones smiling, the ones who watch silently as you trust them. The manipulator, the betrayer, The predator cross their path unprepared, and it may cost you everything. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to see them before they strike? Are you willing to accept that danger wears many faces and none announce themselves? If this message touched you, if it made sense, write in the comments, I will not be deceived. Let's see how many here are truly ready to face the danger Machiavelli warned us about. And don't forget, keep watching the next video. It's important, much more than you imagine. See you there.